Minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, I've supported a procedure for having our troops in Syria and removed from Syria, which we have not engaged in. And I'm now concerned, as are many Senate Republicans and experts in defense, about the abrupt and chaotic withdrawal that we are seeing in Syria that could be a threat to our service members, our allies, and Americans both at home and abroad. And first, I'd like to know, were you consulted before the President decided to announce this withdrawal?
No, sir, I was not as the Secretary of Homeland Security, no.
To your knowledge, were members of the NSC consulted before he decided to announce his withdrawal?
That's my understanding, sir. So
your understanding that they were or were not?
My understanding is they were.
They were. Do you know who he consulted and when?
I don't, sir. You'd have to, if I could, I'd love to defer you to the White House or the Department of Defense.
Do you have any reason to believe ISIS has been defeated and no longer poses a threat to America?
We have had extensive success, as you know, in removing their physical caliphate in Syria. But of course, we continue, from my perspective and my portfolio, we continue to worry about those who might be inspired.
Let me ask you about hate crimes in America. According to the FBI reporting, hate crimes increased by 17% last year. Almost 60% of over 7,100 hate crimes reported were motivated by race or ethnicity. Anti-Semitic hate crimes rose by 27%. We've seen the President make statements such as there were fine people on each side in Charlottesville when there were Klansmen and neo-Nazis demonstrating, protesting, and screaming, "Jews will not take our jobs," and "blood and soil." The President has used code words, talking about George Soros, that we all know conjures up code words about Jews that are globalists, that are internationalists, that are money lenders or financiers on the national level. And we know that Timothy McVeigh drew much of his ideology from the Turner Diaries, which was based on anti-Semitic thought that Jews were controlling things. Based on all of those facts, is it not difficult to believe that the President's amplification of hateful messaging has led to more hate crimes?
Sir, what I can tell you is that from a DHS perspective, hate is hate, violence is violence. We have, in conjunction and following through with the new National Counterterrorism Strategy, we have expanded all of our prevention programs to look at all types of hate and violence throughout the United States. We work very closely with religious communities, but frankly, this needs a full holistic approach, and that's what we're looking to do. So there's the prevention programs, there's the awareness, there's the response, there's the engagement, but it has to be comprehensive because we cannot stand for any type of violence.
And does part of that comprehensive approach maybe go to Melania Trump's anti-bullying campaign? And would not America be a more tolerant and less hateful and less hate-inspired crimes occur if the President did not advocate cops grabbing people and beating them up and advocating violence oftentimes like lock her up or get that one and hit them in the head? Does that not contribute to hate crimes and encouraging people to engage in behavior? There was a guy on an airplane just recently who fondled a woman, and he said, "The President can do it, why shouldn't I?" before they kicked him off the plane. Do you not agree that certain activities and speech the President has engaged in has made it more difficult for you to do your job?
What I can tell you, sir, is sitting here today, robust discussion is at the heart of what it means to be a democracy. Casting unfounded dispersions on a secretary who's sitting before you trying to do her job is not helpful. So I refer to your colleague.
I'm referring to our President.
I don't have any of those statements in front of me. What I can tell you is what just occurred.
You heard the President say that there were fine people on each side when neo-Nazis and Klansmen marched and said, "Jews will not take our jobs," and "blood and soil."
Sir, what I can tell you is hate, violence is violence. At our department, we are looking to counter and prevent
And let me ask you this. Shortly after the Dallas police shooting by a lone sniper, DHS and the FBI circulated emails saying that there was a threat of black supremacist extremists attempting to violently co-opt the upcoming conventions. However, other government documents take a different approach when assessing the threat of white supremacist groups. Can you explain to this committee why the administration takes a different approach to persons of color, like Black Lives Matter, than it does to white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and Klansmen with a well-documented history of violence and hatred and death and killings of Americans?
We do not take a different approach at DHS. Hate is hate, violence is violent. Our programs are comprehensive.
Thank you, ma'am. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Marino, for 5 minutes.